welcome back to another video on Eleanor's restoration. In this one I'm going to be trying to resolve why this door doesn't fit. I'm hoping it's going to be simple, but you never know with these cars. As it sits here, it fits well. Take this out, you can see it drops by quite a bit, probably about 10mm. So I'm going to try a few things in this to get this closing and lining up as it should. So this is a few days later. The hinges. It's quite frustrating with hinges because from all the stories I've heard, I've been advised not to go after market because there's a lot of rubbish cheap ones out there that won't last and are a poor fit. So as with them, I'm trying to get original or OEM equivalent. But this hinge here, the top hinge on the driver door or the right hand side door if you're a left hand drive, because it's right hand drive it gets a lot of wear. It's probably the most used door, and this is the one that's going to wear the most because it's taking the most weight. So this one and the other side individually are out of stock. They're normally £39 each, which I could cope with if it's just one, but they're out of stock everywhere. So I'm left with three alternatives. One, pay I think it's £190 for a pack of 4, which doesn't make sense because it's more expensive buying 4 than it is buying them 4 individually if they're in stock. But yeah, I'm not going to do that just now. The second option is buy aftermarket. I've kind of already explained why I've ruled that out. Third one is see what I can do with these ones first. So this hinge here has got play in it, and I'm hoping that the plate is in the roll pin that attaches the two parts of the hinge. If it is, and if it comes out and this goes in, then that'll be it sorted. If not, if there's wear in the hinge, I'll need to bite the bullet and pay the money for the new hinges. But this was £2.75, I'll try this first. So just by hand, I zoomed in enough there you can see, quite a bit of play on that. So yeah, probably I would say, turn it that way a bit, between 1 and 2mm I would say at a rough guess at an eye. So the roll pin in here, hopefully, will fix that. Now to do this, I'm going to need to get this hinge off, and I've heard bad things about these. So before I filmed this, I went round and I put WD-40 in here and round here, and I just let it soak for a while. I'm going to try and get the right Torx ones for these and see if I can get this hinge off without damaging these. Well, this escalated quickly. I tried everything on the top here. I tried welding the bolt on, but there wasn't enough room to get enough weld, and the bolt just kept snapping. I tried drilling, but I was getting so far, but I was worried I was going to then damage underneath and not get the thread, because this door has to be perfect and it has to sit exactly the same way. So I then thought, I'm going to cut this away because this is getting reskinned anyway. I'm not going to take the whole thing off because I don't want it to lose its rigidity. Is that a word? Rigidity? Its strength. So I've cut this away, I've exposed the bolt underneath, which I'll show you with the small camera, and by doing that I've managed to get mole grips tightened on the underside, and by doing that I've got enough grip. You can see I'm now able to move this. So basically I'm just going to take my time now and get this wound out, and it means these bolts are getting replaced anyway, but it means I'm going to save the hinge and I'm going to save the door. Fingers crossed. But it's so frustrating because all it takes is for one bolt to give you all this hassle, and I know I've had this before and you think, don't know, you think once you've had it a few times you'll deal with it again, but no, it can be frustrating. So let's see if I can get this off. A few minutes later, managed to get this, and this is going to come out. All of that for that one bolt, and the hinge is off. I honestly feel like I've had a small victory here because the door's getting reskinned anyway, so that's not making any difference. It's made me probably cut this earlier than I would have, but it now means I can get this on the vise on the bench, and hopefully this roll pin's going to come out. And it's coming. So it came out, 24 hours soaking. I've soaked it a few times. It doesn't actually look too bad, and it doesn't look too old, which is worrying in comparison to the new one. Slightly longer, you'll see there. The only way to find out is to put it back in and see if there's any play. So the hinge can now be freed. And you get obviously the access to everything now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this cleaned up. I'll get all the paint off it, and I'll get a small file, very very small file, in here and in here, just to get rid of any dirt. Bearing in mind obviously I don't want to grind away any metal. Okay, about 20 minutes of hard work cleaning up. So basically my main aim just now is getting this back together and seeing if there's any play. My hope is the play was in the old roll pin and not in here or here. If the play is in here or here, there are a few options. You can drill these bits out slightly, same as reboring a cylinder I guess, and put a bigger roll pin in, getting the right width and the right length, which would certainly be the cheaper option. Or the second option is just to go and buy new hinge sets, which probably is the way I would go. But we're not there yet. So what I want to do, this has all been cleaned. I've slightly cleaned inside here so there's no debris. So yeah, copper grease. I'll coat this in copper grease, and I'm going to try and get as much copper grease in here and here and here with a paintbrush as I can. Just to basically, one, make it easier to put in, and two, stop it rusting when it's in. Give it a clean up. See, it's all the way through here, slightly through there, which is fine. Moment of truth. Is there any play in the hinge? Movement in the hinge. It's hard to show you on this. So, absolutely no movement on the hinge at all. So, I'm going to call it a success. Whether that transpires to the door fitment issues, we'll find out soon. What I'm going to do with this is get this cleaned up, get it masked off and just give it a blast of paint. A few hours later we have one refurbed top hinge. Still drying, so I'll leave that for a few days just to harden it. It's touch dry, but yeah, it's still drying in some places. But really pleased with the way it's come. So I was going to work on this, but I've been very busy with my camper van getting that ready for the kids, and this came up on eBay. This is a new old stock, new hinge, and I thought rather than spend a dose of time on that I've not got, I'm just going to go for this. I'll keep this somewhere because at some point, if I've got the time, I can do the work and I can make this a new hinge or a spare hinge. So the way forward at the moment is this. Okay, I've got the new hinge on. I'm going to try 2 shims to start with to see how that affects the drop and also the shut lines, because obviously when you're pushing out here you're affecting the shut lines. So 2 shims along with the repaired roll pin in the hinge. Let's have a look and see how that looks. Fingers crossed. So this is 2 shims on the bottom hinge. Let's see how the drop is. Not too much. The block is catching here. So I'm going to try another 2 shims. I'll put another 2 on, making it 4 in total, and I'll come back and see how this affects this. This is 4 shims on the bottom hinge, and what I've done to mimic the missing glass and window regulator is I've put 4 kg weights up the top, which is about just the same as what it would be. And here we go. Closing a lot better, no drop, so I'm really pleased with that. It's not got the rubber in, so when the rubber's in it'll sit, that's how it'll sit. Obviously adding the shims sacrifices some of the shut lines. When the rubber's in it'll give a better idea. The shut line here is a bit smaller than what I would like. Over this side it's okay at the top, not so good at the bottom, so that's just going to need playing about with. I'm happy for where the door is at this stage, to know that I'm not going to have to do much more to manipulate the actual A-post or the inner wing. I don't want to start getting perfect shut lines here when I know that I'm going to have to replace this door skin, because the door skin, depending on how tight it is as well, is going to affect those shut lines. So yeah, for the purpose of where I'm at just now, I'm quite pleased with this. I know that playing about with the shims at different weights is going to get me where I want without doing any major structural repairs. So I'm going to call that a success at the moment. Later down the line is when I start to look at how good I can get the shut lines through various different bits of bodywork. Yeah, but I'm just going to leave that in place just now, and I'm going to move my attentions back to the front end where I can start looking at the skittle and building up the whole front end from there. So yeah, it's nice to be back with Eleanor. I'm not going to be doing this over the whole summer. I'm going to try and split my time between my other projects. The T2 as well, obviously I've not done an awful lot on that, but I'm glad I'm getting back in here because it's been a few months before I've done anything, and I would quite like to get some more painting done before I lose the summer, because the drying time, the weather makes such a difference. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll take today's win and I'll move on to the next job in the next video. So as always, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!